Commander Maya Reyes stared at the holographic display as another colony went dark. Archer's Point population 22,864 had just joined the growing list of human settlements that had ceased all communications in the last 72 hours. The Unified Earth Defense Command was in chaos. This wasn't supposed to happen. Humanity had spread throughout the galaxy for almost 2 centuries without encountering any hostile intelligence, until now. 17 colonies, Admiral Chen said, his voice eerily calm. All frontier worlds. All attacked using the same pattern. No distress signals. No survivors. Maya studied the star map, the red markers of silent colonies forming an unmistakable pattern. They're moving inward, systematically. Testing our response capabilities. Or lack thereof, muttered Dr. Elijah Kwan, the xenobiologist who'd been summoned from the Mars Research Institute. His dark eyes reflected the holographic light as he manipulated the display. The footage we recovered from Proxima Centauri Station's emergency buoy is disturbing. The room dimmed as the footage began playing. The quality was poor, damaged during transmission, but clear enough to see humanoid figures running, screaming. The station's emergency lighting cast everything in a hellish red glow. Then came the shadows, massive, quadrupedal creatures with elongated snouts and too many limbs, moving with impossible speed. One leapt into frame, jaws clamping around a fleeing colonist. "Freeze image," Admiral Chen commanded. The horrific scene paused. "Dr. Kwan, your assessment?" Elijah adjusted his glasses. "Bioengineered predators. Highly specialized. Based on the footage and the minimal biological data the buoy captured, they appear to be designed specifically to hunt humans. They track by body temperature, heart rate, and the specific chemical signature of human fear." Maya felt her stomach turn. "They made weapons specifically designed to hunt us? Before we even knew they existed?" "That's the implication, Commander," Elijah replied. "This isn't first contact. They've been studying us, possibly for decades." The door to the command center hissed open, and a tall figure in the distinctive armor of the Orbital Drop Shock Battalion entered. Colonel Darian Wade, Maya's former squad leader and mentor, looked like he hadn't slept in days. His dark skin showed signs of recent combat, a fresh scar across his right cheek, likely from the rescue attempt at New Sydney Colony. "The Taraki have made contact," Wade announced without preamble. The room fell silent. The Taraki, the name had been extracted from the limited communications intercepted between the alien vessels. It was the first official confirmation of the enemy's identity. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies. They want to talk." The main screen flickered, and a face appeared, if you could call it that. The creature had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern across what might be considered a forehead. Its skin was a pale blue-green, with ridges where a human might have cheekbones. When it spoke, a lower jaw detached in 3 separate mandibles, revealing rows of small, sharp teeth. "Humans of Earth and its colonies," the being spoke, its voice processed through translation algorithms. "I am Supreme Commander Vexarin of the Taraki Dominion. Your species has encroached upon territories that will soon be required for our expansion. Your existence has been evaluated and found inefficient. You will be harvested for biological resources and your planets repurposed." Maya clenched her fists as the alien continued. "Resistance is not advised. To demonstrate our technological superiority, we have deployed a small contingent of our war beasts to your frontier worlds. They are but one of many specialized weapons in our arsenal. Submit to processing, and your deaths will be painless. Resist, and we will release progressively more creative solutions until compliance is achieved." Admiral Chen stepped forward. "This is Admiral Chen of the Unified Earth Defense Command. We are a peaceful species, but we will defend ourselves. Withdraw your forces immediately and we can negotiate." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Negotiate? With livestock? Your species' arrogance is noted. You have 48 Earth hours to begin evacuation of your core worlds for processing. After that, the next phase of cleansing begins." The transmission cut off abruptly. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Admiral Chen turned to the assembled command staff. "It seems we're at war," he said simply. "And we're outmatched. Colonel Wade's jaw tightened. Permission to speak freely, sir. Chen nodded. These Taraki have made a critical error. They've shown us their hand too early. If they truly wanted to exterminate us, they wouldn't have warned us first. They're overconfident. Maya felt a spark of hope. And they've given us time to analyze their war beasts. If Dr. Kwan can determine their weaknesses, already working on it, Elijah interrupted, fingers flying across his data pad. The footage from Proxima shows them avoiding certain areas of the station. I need to isolate the variables. Admiral Chen's expression hardened with resolve. Commander Reyes, you've got the best tactical mind in the fleet. I want you working with Dr. Kwan and Colonel Wade. Find me a way to fight these things. Maya nodded, already formulating possibilities. Sir, I'll need access to something else as well. She hesitated, then continued. Project Cerberus. Chen's eyes widened slightly. That's a black-level classified program. Yes, sir. And it might be our only chance. The Admiral studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Granted. Do whatever it takes. Humanity doesn't have the luxury of holding back anymore. As the command staff dispersed to their emergency stations, Maya caught Wade looking at her with a curious expression. Project Cerberus, he asked quietly. You're really going there? Maya's dark eyes flashed with determination. They've unleashed war beasts on our colonies, Colonel. What they don't realize is that humans have been perfecting our relationship with war beasts for thousands of years. A grim smile touched her lips. It's time to show the Taraki exactly what they've picked a fight with. Wade's expression shifted from concern to a matching determination. Then let's go wake the dogs of war. ERMASURES. The Cerberus facility was buried deep beneath the Olympus Mons military reserve on Mars. As Maya, Wade, and Elijah descended in the high-security elevator, the xenobiologist fidgeted nervously. I've heard rumors about this place, he said quietly. Military genetic engineering programs that go beyond anything publicly acknowledged. Maya remained silent. As the project's security officer for 3 years before her promotion to fleet command, she knew exactly what waited for them below and why it had been kept secret. The elevator doors opened to reveal a sprawling laboratory complex. White-coated scientists moved purposefully between workstations. Through massive reinforced windows, they could see the training arenas beyond and the creatures within them. Dr. Sophia Lamont, the project's lead scientist, greeted them at the security checkpoint. Her silver hair was pulled back in a severe bun, her eyes sharp behind frameless glasses. Commander Reyes, she said, her British accent crisp. I was told to expect you. I take it the situation is dire if Cerberus has been activated. Extinction level, Maya confirmed. I need everything you've got combat ready in 24 hours. Lamont's eyebrows rose. That's ambitious. Follow me. She led them through the main research hub to an observation deck overlooking a massive indoor training ground. Below, handlers in specialized gear were working with what at first glance appeared to be large wolves until you noticed the subtle differences. The enhanced musculature. The heightened intelligence in their eyes. The way they moved with almost supernatural coordination. Project Cerberus was conceived after the Resource Wars, Lamont explained. The idea was simple but revolutionary. Rather than build more complex robots or drones that could be hacked or disabled, why not return to humanity's oldest alliance? The one that helped us become apex predators in the first place? Dogs, Elijah breathed, watching the creatures below with newfound understanding. Canis familiaris, Lamont corrected. But enhanced through carefully targeted genetic modifications. Increased intelligence, strength, sensory capabilities, and communication skills without sacrificing the loyalty and pack mentality that made dogs humanity's first and greatest allies. Colonel Wade leaned forward, studying the animals with professional appreciation. Combat applications? Numerous, Lamont replied. They're resistant to electronic countermeasures. They can operate in environments that would kill humans or disable machinery. They think tactically and can execute complex maneuvers. Most importantly, she paused, looking meaningfully at Maya, they share a bond with their handlers that no artificial intelligence can replicate. Maya stepped closer to the glass. "Show him Alpha Team." Lamont nodded and pressed a command into her tablet. A door at the far end of the training ground opened, and 3 larger creatures emerged. These were clearly different, bigger, their fur a distinctive silver gray, moving with a predatory grace that made even the enhanced dogs look clumsy by comparison. "What am I looking at?" Elijah asked, unable to hide his scientific fascination. "The next evolution," Lamont said. "Splice gene hybrids. Canis bases with selective traits from other apex predators. Intelligence comparable to a human 10-year-old. Communication capabilities that include understanding complex verbal commands and limited speech through specialized vocal implants." "They can talk?" Wade asked incredulously. "After a fashion. Their physical structures aren't designed for human speech, but the implants translate their thoughts into synthesized words. Primitive, but effective for battlefield communication." Maya turned to Elijah. "We need to know everything about these Taraki war beasts. Weaknesses. Sensory capabilities. Attack patterns. Everything." Elijah nodded, still staring at the creatures below. "I've been analyzing the footage. Their design suggests they hunt primarily through chemoreception and thermal imaging. They're incredibly fast and strong," but he paused, pulling up data on his pad. "There are anomalies. They avoided certain sections of the station. Specifically, areas where the cooling systems had ruptured." "Temperature sensitivity?" Maya suggested. "Possibly. Or something in the coolant itself. I need more data." He looked up at Lamont. "How quickly can your subjects learn to target specific weaknesses?" "Extraordinarily quickly," Lamont replied. "That's why they were created." Wade had moved to another window, overlooking a different training area. This one contained what appeared to be a mock urban environment. "What's happening there?" Lamont joined him. "Tactical urban combat training. The beta teams specialize in close-quarters engagement and civilian extraction." Maya had already made her decision. "I want all teams prepped and ready. Alpha, Beta, everything you've got. Full combat loadout." "Commander," Lamont cautioned, "most of these units haven't been field-tested outside controlled conditions." "They're about to be," Maya replied grimly. "Dr. Kwan will provide all available data on the enemy. Colonel Wade will oversee tactical integration with our human forces. And I'll take personal command of Alpha Team." Wade turned sharply. "Maya, Commander, you haven't trained with these units." Maya's expression was immovable. "Actually, I have. Who do you think was the security officer for this project before my promotion?" She turned back to Lamont. "Where's Fenris?" A small smile touched Lamont's lips. "I wondered if you'd ask for him. He's in specialized housing. He's grown since you last saw him." "Fenris?" Elijah questioned. "Alpha Prime," Maya explained. "The first successful hybrid. The prototype for all Alpha units. And my former partner." As if summoned by her words, a massive shape appeared at the window of an adjacent observation room. Nearly the size of a small horse, with silver-gray fur and eyes that glowed a soft blue from implants, the creature regarded them with unmistakable intelligence. Its gaze locked with Maya's, and its massive head tilted in recognition. Through speakers, a synthetic voice emerged. "Commander. You have returned. Is it time to hunt?" Maya nodded, placing her hand against the glass. "Yes, Fenris. It's time to hunt." The colony of New Horizon had been designated as the Taraki's next target, based on their attack pattern. Unlike previous colonies, however, this one was ready. The civilians had been evacuated, replaced by special forces operators and combat engineers who had transformed the settlement into an elaborate trap. Maya stood in the colony's main control center, watching tactical displays as the final preparations were completed. Elijah had worked tirelessly, identifying key weaknesses in the Taraki war beasts based on the limited data available. "Their thermal regulation is poor," he explained to the assembled command team. "They're designed for short, overwhelming assaults, not prolonged combat. Their sensory organs are hypersensitive, an advantage in detecting prey, but potentially a vulnerability if overloaded. Colonel Wade nodded, making notes on his tactical pad. We've set up ultrasonic emitters throughout the colony. If your analysis is correct, they should disorient the creatures long enough for our teams to engage. And the coolant compound? Maya asked. Aerosolized and ready for deployment, Wade confirmed. If they're as sensitive to it as the Proxima footage suggests, it should reduce their effectiveness considerably. Maya turned to the specialized communication station where handlers were finalizing preparations with the Cerberus units. 20 handler K9 teams had been deployed, 5 alpha units, including Fenris, and 15 beta units. Each animal wore specialized combat armor, integrated with tactical systems and equipped with the tools Lamont's team had developed. Status? Maya asked the lead handler. All units operational and in position, Commander, the woman replied. Alpha teams are at primary entry points, betas distributed in tactical support positions. Maya nodded and turned to her command staff. The Taraki ship has entered orbit. Based on previous attacks, we have approximately 20 minutes before they deploy their war beasts. She straightened, her voice firm. This isn't just about defending New Horizon. This is about showing these aliens that humanity isn't their prey. We're sending a message today. The room tensed as sensors detected the Taraki dropships entering the atmosphere. Maya activated her tactical neural link, connecting to the command network and to Fenris. Through the specialized interface, she could see through his enhanced eyes, positioned at the colony's main entrance plaza. All teams, maintain stealth positions, she ordered. Let them enter the primary engagement zones before activating countermeasures. Minutes ticked by as the Taraki ships landed outside the colony perimeter. Sensor feeds showed the bay doors opening, disgorging the now familiar shapes of their war beasts, dozens of them, more than had been deployed in previous attacks. They're adapting, Wade observed grimly. Increasing numbers. So are we, Maya replied. Through her neural link, she sensed Fenris's anticipation, his muscles coiled and ready. The war beasts moved with frightening speed, covering ground in bounding leaps toward the colony. They breached the outer perimeter, spreading through the seemingly deserted streets. They're approaching the primary engagement zones, Wade reported. 30 seconds. Maya opened the tactical channel to all teams. On my mark, engage countermeasures. The war beasts converged on the colony center, their movements becoming more frenzied as they detected the hidden human sense planted throughout the settlement. Now. Across the colony, ultrasonic emitters activated, flooding the area with frequencies calibrated to the war beast's sensitive hearing. Simultaneously, coolant systems ruptured, releasing clouds of the compound Elijah had identified. The effect was immediate. The creatures faltered, many writhing in obvious distress. Cerberus teams, engage. Maya ordered. Through Fenris's eyes, she watched as the enhanced canines burst from concealment, closing on the disoriented alien creatures with coordinated precision. Unlike human soldiers, the Cerberus units were unaffected by the countermeasures, their own sensory systems calibrated differently. The battle was brutal and swift. The Taraki beasts were formidable, but they had been designed to hunt terrified, unprepared humans, not face an enemy specifically prepared for them. The Alpha units targeted the creatures' vulnerable neck junctions while Beta teams worked in coordinated packs to isolate and overwhelm individual targets. Maya directed Fenris toward a particularly large war beast that was recovering from the initial assault. Through their link, she conveyed tactical information, guiding his approach. The massive hybrid moved with astonishing speed, flanking the alien predator and striking at precisely the right moment. Across the colony, human special forces teams emerged from concealment, providing fire support and deploying additional countermeasures. The Taraki beasts, designed for overwhelming offense, found themselves outmaneuvered and outthought. In the command center, Elijah monitored the biological data streaming from the battlefield. Their biochemistry is destabilizing under prolonged exertion, he reported. Your assessment was correct. They're sprint predators, not endurance fighters. Within 40 minutes, it was over. The Taraki war beasts lay dead or incapacitated throughout the colony. Human casualties had been minimal: 3 injured, none killed. Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. It's the Taraki ship. The main screen activated, revealing the now familiar face of Supreme Commander Vexaren. The alien's 4 eyes blinked in what might have been surprise. "Impossible," it hissed. "Our war beasts are perfected predators." Maya stepped forward, Fenris's massive form now at her side in the command center. "Your perfected predators just met their evolutionary superiors, Commander Vexaren. Humans didn't rise to dominance on Earth by accident. We've been refining our relationship with predators for millennia." The alien's mandibles clicked in what might have been agitation. "This minor victory means nothing. Our fleet approaches. You have merely hastened your species' extinction." Maya smiled coldly. "Actually, we've just transmitted complete biometric data on your war beasts to every human colony and military installation. Their weaknesses are now common knowledge." She placed her hand on Fenris's massive head. "And now we know exactly what we're dealing with." Vexaren's eyes narrowed. "You are still hopelessly outmatched." "Perhaps," Maya acknowledged. "But you should know something about humans, Vexaren. We've spent our entire evolutionary history being outmatched. We weren't the strongest, fastest, or most naturally armed species on our planet. But we're still here, and all those superior predators are either extinct or..." She glanced down at Fenris, "working for us now." She leaned closer to the screen. "You wanted to show us our place in the galaxy? Congratulations. You've just awakened every survival instinct our species possesses. And trust me, you won't like what comes next." With a gesture, she cut the transmission. Colonel Wade approached, his expression grim but satisfied. "The data from this engagement is already being analyzed. We're identifying vulnerabilities in their technology, tactics, everything." "What about their main fleet?" Maya asked. "Admiral Chen reports they've halted their advance, holding position at the edge of the Proxima system. They're reassessing." Maya nodded. "Good. That gives us time." "Time for what?" Elijah asked, joining them. Maya's expression was resolute. "To take the fight to them." 6 months later, Supreme Commander Vexaren stood on the command deck of the Taraki flagship Inevitable Dominion, watching with growing disbelief as tactical displays showed another battlegroup going dark. The human counteroffensive had proven far more effective than any projections had anticipated. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his science director. "Their technology is inferior. Their numbers are smaller. They should have been easily subjugated." The science director's posture conveyed extreme discomfort. "The humans adapt, Supreme Commander. Each engagement, they employ new tactics, new countermeasures. They learn at an unprecedented rate. And these creatures they employ against our forces? Genetically enhanced versions of their native companion species," the science director explained. "Our preliminary assessment dismissed these dogs as simple beasts. We were incorrect. The humans have elevated them to formidable battlefield assets, immune to many of our technological advantages." Vexaren's mandibles clicked in frustration. What had begun as a routine expansion operation had transformed into the most significant military challenge the Dominion had faced in generations. The humans fought with a ferocity and ingenuity that defied all predictive models. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer announced. "It's the human command vessel." "Display," Vexaren ordered, the screen activated to show Commander Maya Reyes, now wearing the insignia of Fleet Admiral. Beside her stood the massive form of the creature designated Fenris in intelligence reports, along with Colonel Wade and several other human military officials. "Supreme Commander," Maya greeted him, her tone coolly professional. "I think it's time we discussed terms." "Terms?" Vexaren's voice carried disbelief. "You presume to dictate terms to the Dominion? Your fleet has lost 47 capital ships in the last 3 months, Maya replied matter-of-factly. Your supply lines are compromised. Your remaining forces are scattered across 3 systems, unable to form an effective defensive perimeter. So yes, I'm offering terms before this conflict escalates further." Vexaren felt his secondary hearts accelerate in anger. "We underestimated your species' capacity for violence, human. A mistake we won't repeat." Maya's expression remained impassive. This isn't about violence, Commander. It's about survival. Something humans understand intimately. She paused, her gaze unwavering. Our terms are simple: the Taraki Dominion will withdraw from all human-settled systems. A demilitarized zone will be established along our mutual border. Any future contact will be diplomatic, not military. And if we refuse? Instead of answering directly, Maya nodded to someone off-screen. The display split to show a secondary feed footage from within what appeared to be a Taraki research facility. Vexaran recognized it immediately: the High Evolution Center on Taraki Prime, the most secure installation in Dominion space. 72 hours ago, a small team infiltrated your homeworld, Maya explained. They've secured complete data on your species' genome, developmental vulnerabilities, and biological weaknesses. Her voice hardened. We know how to hurt you now, Vexaran. Terminally. Impossible. The facility's security was impenetrable. You're bluffing. In response, the camera panned to show several humans in stealth gear, accompanied by the enhanced canines that had become synonymous with human special operations. One of the humans held up a data core instantly recognizable as the Central Genetic Repository. We could have deployed bioweapons, Maya continued. We could have targeted your civilian population centers. We didn't, because unlike you, we don't believe in extinction as a first resort. Her eyes narrowed. But make no mistake, push us further, and we will do whatever is necessary to ensure human survival. The science director approached Vexaran, voice lowered. Supreme Commander, if they have the repository data, they could engineer a pathogen that would devastate our population. Vexaran felt the unfamiliar sensation of fear creeping through his system. The Dominion had conquered dozens of species across multiple star systems. None had ever penetrated their homeworld defenses. None had ever pushed them to the brink of defeat. You have 12 hours to begin your withdrawal, Maya stated. After that, we continue this war on our terms. The transmission ended, the command deck was silent for several moments. Finally, the fleet tactician spoke. Supreme Commander, our predictive models give us less than 18% probability of victory if hostilities continue. Vexaran stared at the tactical display, watching as another Taraki battle group reported heavy losses. The humans fought like nothing they had encountered before, not with superior technology or numbers, but with a relentless adaptability that made them impossible to predict. Send the signal, he finally ordered. All forces to commence withdrawal. As his officers rushed to comply, Vexaran turned to the science director. Study everything we know about these humans. I want to understand how a species so physically unremarkable could defeat the Dominion. There is one hypothesis emerging from our analysis, the science director replied cautiously. The humans evolved on a planet with numerous apex predators. Unlike our ancestors, who evolved as the dominant species on our world, the humans spent millennia as both predator and prey. Meaning? They never stopped expecting threats, Supreme Commander. Their entire civilization is built on overcoming challenges that should have exterminated them. And in the process, they transformed their greatest predators into their most loyal allies. The science director's 4 eyes blinked in what might have been admiration. It is unprecedented evolutionary ingenuity. Vexaran turned back to the viewport, watching as his ships prepared for the humiliating retreat. Update the Dominion archives, he ordered. Classification of humanity to be revised from potential resource to apex threat. All expansion operations to maintain minimum safe distance from human territory. He paused, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. And add a specific warning: they are not to be underestimated. Ever again. 1 year after the Taraki withdrawal, Maya stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned defensive platform orbiting Earth. Beside her, Fenris watched the stars with the same intensity he brought to everything. Admiral on deck, called a young officer as Colonel now General Wade entered. At ease, Wade said, joining them at the viewport. Quite a view. Maya nodded. The first of 20 such platforms. The Security Council finally understands we can't afford complacency. Wade leaned against the railing. The Taraki are honoring the treaty so far. Our deep space probes show they've actually established a buffer zone beyond what we negotiated. Fear is a powerful motivator, Maya observed. So is respect, Wade countered. The Taraki ambassador actually requested permission to study our companion species evolution as part of the cultural exchange program. Maya smiled slightly. Approved? Under strict supervision. Dr. Kwan is heading the exchange team. Wade paused. You know, it's ironic. They came to exterminate us because they saw us as inferior beings. Now they're fascinated by the very thing that defeated them, our ability to turn adversity into advantage. Maya looked down at Fenris, whose enhanced intelligence allowed him to follow their conversation perfectly. Humans have always been at our best when challenged. It's not our strength or our technology that makes us formidable. It's our partnerships. Through his vocal implant, Fenris spoke in his synthetic voice, pack makes strength. Lone hunter fails. Exactly, Maya agreed, scratching behind his ear. The Taraki thought themselves superior because they engineered perfect predators. They never understood that humanity's greatest achievement wasn't creating weapons, it was turning potential enemies into allies. Wade's communicator chimed. He checked it and straightened. The council is reconvening. The Proxima expansion plan is up for vote. Maya nodded. I'll be there shortly. As Wade departed, Maya remained at the viewport with Fenris, watching as a transport ship departed Earth, heading for the newly established diplomatic station where representatives from a dozen previously unknown species had gathered. The Taraki conflict had revealed humanity to the wider galactic community, not as easy prey, but as a species to be reckoned with. They thought they were testing us, Maya said softly to her companion. They never realized they were being tested themselves. Fenris's synthesized voice held a note of what might have been pride. Humans adapt. Overcome. Survive. Maya placed her hand on his massive head, feeling the bond that represented thousands of years of shared evolution. Yes, we do. Together. As they turned to leave, the stars continued their silent vigil over a humanity that had proven, once again, that its greatest strength lay not in conquest, but in cooperation, a lesson written in the very DNA of the remarkable creatures who had journeyed with them from the caves of Earth to the depths of space. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger. Not because they were perfect, but because they had never stopped learning from every challenge the universe had thrown at them. It was, perhaps, the most human quality of all.